Telcoin to me looks like an XRP competitor, except it's 250 times smaller. This seems like it could be a pretty impressive and pretty lucrative beta play if you do believe in XRP kind of long term in the vision, what they're doing, a lot of that type of stuff. Obviously, we've talked on the channel before about potentially some of the hangups there and potentially some of like the potential pitfalls. But I think Telcoin very, very closely kind of follows in the footsteps of what XRP is trying to do, but it's serving a little bit of a different market. And in my opinion, it actually could be a little bit even more of a relevant market compared to what XRP is trying to do. So I think like if you are bullish on this type of overall sentiment of like kind of being like the intermediary for money transfers and doing a lot of that type of stuff, Telcoin could be a really, really interesting thing for you to take a look at. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about that today. What is Telcoin? How do I think it compares to XRP? Going over some of the technicals, a lot of that type of stuff. But anyway, without further ado, let's go on ahead. We'll dive right in, starting out taking a look at the crypto bubbles, because we can see pretty red day overall on the market. We can see XRP here specifically down at 1% and Telcoin down at minus 2.4%. So, both of them not really moving too much, but we do see some larger corrections here in the market. We have a couple greens, Kava and Berachain kind of being the two big ones here. And then, Solana down, Cake down, HBAR and IMX probably being the big ones that are kind of down today. Ethereum also down kind of 2%. Or down 2% as well. Pi also having a really rough time. We can see here at 91 cents on Pi, actually dropping below that dollar mark, which is definitely rough to see. But again, we kind of talked about this in our Pi video yesterday about how 70 cents, potentially even lower, is possible. 70 cents is kind of the next level below that kind of dollar range. So I would expect that it probably does kind of continue down to that range. Again, we never know for sure, but just something to kind of take a look at. Anyway, that's beside the point. We're here to talk about Telcoin. So let's take a quick look at what we got here via like the CoinGecko stats and all of that type of good stuff. So obviously what we can see over the past year, price has done quite well. Obviously back in November, it was also a beneficiary of the Trump pump, being at 0.001, going all the way up to about, 1.2-ish cents. And we're now back at 0.006 cents. But again, still up pretty nice from that period. Not giving all the gains back. We are finding a pretty strong level of support, kind of at this like 0.005-ish range. We can also see the market cap sitting at about 560 million, fully diluted though, only at 610. This is really, really good to see, because what this means is essentially most of the dilution has already happened, which of course is a good thing. We can see it's about 92% diluted, almost, 91.89% if we're going to get really specific here. We can see though 24-hour trading volume quite low. So this is a coin that doesn't necessarily have a whole bunch of trading volume yet. So if it does start to develop some more mainstream adoption, we could potentially see the price really, really go nuts. Again, who knows for sure? We'll get to that here in a second, kind of assess some of those potential fundamentals, and also maybe get into a price prediction a little bit later on, talking about Telcoin if it were to hit something like XRP prices. Now again, we also have XRP here. We can see market cap of 140 billion, fully diluted though of 240 billion, because XRP is only about 58-ish% diluted. Definitely much different than about what do we say here, 92%. So a lot more selling pressure going to be coming on the XRP chart. We can see though XRP holding up very, very strongly as well. So this overall kind of like monetary exchange facilitator type of narrative is actually playing pretty well, and it is holding up quite well. Of course, XRP holding up generally better than Telcoin, but both doing quite well and holding up quite well also. Now, if you are interested in kind of talking to me, answering some or asking some questions, a little bit more on a one-on-one, joining my private community, interacting with some of the people who also kind of follow the channel, a lot of that type of stuff, I do have that link in the description below to Patreon if you are interested. Like I said, no pressure at all if you're not, just something that I did kind of spin up because some people were asking about it. So we do have that available if you are interested. Now, if we go take a look at Telcoin, I want to kind of explain to you why I'm seeing this as kind of a XRP direct competitor. You can agree, you can disagree, but I'm at least going to lay out kind of my opinion as to why we are seeing this. What we can see here, talking about the Internet of Money, global finance, uniting blockchain technology, digital banking, and telecom. This is pretty kind of clear to see what they're doing. Obviously, they've got their Telcoin wallet. We've got digital cash. If we scroll down, we can see a little bit more about this here. Obviously, they've got Telcoin being kind of the base to their whole ecosystem here. And then we've got wrapped Bitcoin, we've got wrapped Ethereum, we've got USDC, a whole bunch of different assets. You can get it on the App Store. So this is something that definitely has like real world utility right now today, which is pretty cool to see. We can see, fast and affordable remittances, digital cash, digital assets. We also have, all of these different types of cash too, right? So we're not just talking about USD stable coins. Obviously, those things do exist, but you've got, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, African franc, pound sterling, Hong Kong dollar, yen, New Zealand, South African, Singapore, Mexico, all this type of stuff, which is pretty cool. I mean, obviously they're looking for kind of some of these international money remittances. It's pretty clear to see that, which is pretty cool. And then obviously we've got Telcoin remittances as well. So here, kind of one of their examples they've got is USDC to Philippine pesos. This is an Indian company, so I'm imagining kind of the Southeast Asian area is where they're focusing. I do think this makes a lot of sense because, kind of the banking situation there, while fine, is very cash heavy. And so having a little bit more of a digital solution, particularly for people who are looking to maybe send payments cross border, this is a very, very good solution for that. We can see here, they've got Maya, Gcash, whatever this one is, I'm not familiar with that. And then GrabPay, again, Grab, very popular down in the Philippines as well. So, we can kind of see what the target market is. I do think overall the target market is a good one, right? I mean, the kind of the South and Southeast Asian, a lot of them work kind of as expats working internationally, will send money back home. This is also, as we saw above, they had the Mexican peso or the digital Mexican peso. Lots of this happens with the Mexican peso as well, working internationally and sending money back home, as well as various other countries throughout the world. But I think it's fairly clear to see what they're trying to go for here, right? I mean, this is looking to be kind of like a Western Union type of replacement. Obviously, I'm sure the fees are going to be looking a lot better here. There's going to be kind of some crypto rails on this, giving it a certain level of permissionlessness, a certain level of like increased access, a lot of this type of stuff, which in my opinion is a great thing, right? I mean, I think everybody should be able to have access to this type of stuff, and the barrier to entry should be low. I think this is a fantastic idea, and what they're doing here is really, really great. And so we can kind of see exactly kind of what they're going for with this whole process. So I do think this is kind of why I kind of compare the Telcoin token and XRP is kind of like maybe sister tokens, because they're trying to attack the same general type of problem. We can make the argument that XRP is maybe looking to go more for like kind of like the SWIFT style, more talking about like institutional central bank type of money. But Telcoin definitely going for more of like a retail consumer, like user first type of strategy, which I do think makes a lot of sense. And I do think we will have to kind of track the user growth very quickly to see how many people are actually adopting this. So that's one thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about. And then now we'll go take a quick look at the Telcoin chart and just kind of see what we're looking. Obviously, we saw a little bit about this on CoinGecko, but now here we can look at some candles and see what we got. Obviously, kind of back in early February, we did see actually a little bit of a nice pump kind of between like the 3rd and the 15th. And then since then, we kind of have come back down again to this kind of like 0.005 range, where we have seen it be a pretty strong support over a fairly long period of time. When we saw this pump, obviously we were outside of the Bollinger Bands, as well as overextended, coming up to a max of about 84. Anything above 70 is overextended. So, obviously this would have been a great time to be taking profits. Have not actually come into oversold, even when we did see a little bit of this like move to the downside. So price strength holding up pretty decently for Telcoin. Obviously, price momentum looking relatively encouraging, like we saw out of CoinGecko, and like we're seeing here, not a whole lot of kind of movement, at least from kind of the 14th of January, which is where the chart tracking starts. I believe this is when it was listed on WEEX. This is the WEEX chart and the WEEX app. So if you are interested in looking and trading Telcoin, WEEX is a perfect place to do it. I do have that link in the description below. They are doing deposit bonuses of up to $20,000 to $30,000. I can't always remember exactly what it is, but they do allow spot trading, leverage trading, all that type of stuff. So if you are interested in Telcoin and maybe looking to build up a position, maybe looking to swing trade, any of that type of thing, that is totally doable within the WEEX app. So just check the links in the description below if you are interested in getting on signed up for something like that. So now I want to move in and talk a little bit about kind of a price prediction that we could see for Telcoin. And so to do that, I am going to pull up a calculator, and we're just going to look at like what happens if Telcoin hits the price of XRP, right? And so if we see the price of XRP, it is about, I did this math earlier, so I know this for sure, but it is about 1/250th the size. And so what we will do is we will take the current price, which is 0.006 cents, and we are going to multiply that by 250x, and that would get us to $1.50. So basically it would be comparable-ish to what we're seeing out of XRP's price currently, which is pretty cool, right? I mean, we could essentially be going from what is this? 0.6 cents to $1.50 if we were to catch up to something like XRP. Now, obviously, XRP has an absolutely fantastic community. XRP's been around for a very, very long time. So there are certain barriers and certain roadblocks to us potentially hitting this level, but I just wanted to give you a sense of, what potentially we could see coming out of Telcoin if it were to rise to the heights of something like an XRP, just as kind of like a gauge of where we could see it potentially going. Now, obviously, with altcoins, this market is very, very heavily dependent on narratives. It's also very, very heavily dependent on the macroeconomic environment, probably more than anything else. So, obviously I'm not calling for a 250x, by the end of 2025 or anything like that. I think that's a little bit unrealistic, or a lot of bit unrealistic. But I do think what we could see is, maybe 4, 5, 6, maybe even 10x. A 10x would just be at a $5.6 billion market cap. Telcoin is currently the 129th ranked coin, so not even in the top 100. And I do think, a pump into the kind of single digit billions could be reasonable in 2025, assuming, of course, the macroeconomics do work out. We do have some level of crypto run into the, kind of finishing out 2025, because obviously everything in 2025 so far has been pretty much down only. Again, not the end of the world, but obviously we do need kind of some of those underlying factors to change. So anyway, that's kind of an initial intro to Telcoin. Hopefully you can kind of see how I'm drawing this comparison from XRP to Telcoin. A really, really interesting kind of idea there, and an interesting comparison between the two, I do think. So if you did find it interesting, helpful, anything like that, a like and a subscribe really, really does help me out. So if you would be willing, I really appreciate that. Also, if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on, do you consider this also an XRP competitor? Maybe it's a complement or like a complementary product. How do you view Telcoin with relation to XRP? How do you just view Telcoin generally? I'd be interested to know. So if you are interested in giving me that feedback, comment section below is a great way to do so. And anyway, I'll be looking to hearing from you guys, a lot of that type of stuff. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.